Who was the most unexpected threat to your child? My 12-year-old son came home from school with a black eye. He said he fell off his bike, but I knew he was lying. The next week, he had scratches on his arms, then a split lip, always with some excuse about accidents or clumsiness. His personality completely changed too. My once confident kid became jumpy and quiet. He'd flinch whenever someone moved too quickly near him. He stopped asking friends over and barely spoke at dinner. When I tried to hug him goodnight, he'd tense up like he was expecting to get hit. I confronted him about the injuries, thinking he was getting bullied at school, but he insisted everything was fine and begged me not to call his teachers. He said it would only make things worse. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong with my child. His grades started dropping from A's to C's almost overnight. His teacher called saying he seemed distracted and afraid during class. She mentioned he kept looking over his shoulder and asking to use the bathroom multiple times per day. He was clearly living in constant fear of something or someone. I started picking him up early from school and following his usual route home. For 3 days, I saw nothing unusual. He'd walk normally, maybe stop at the corner store for candy, then head straight to our house. But on Thursday, everything changed completely. I watched him walk toward our neighborhood and suddenly dart behind some bushes near the park. He crouched down like he was hiding from someone dangerous. I parked my car and crept closer to see what was happening to my son. There was my son getting punched and shoved by another kid who looked exactly like him. Same height, same build, same backpack, even the same haircut and clothes. I thought I was seeing double or having some kind of mental breakdown. Then I heard the other kid speak and my heart stopped cold. It was my son's voice coming out of this stranger's mouth. He was beating up my child while perfectly mimicking his mannerisms and speech patterns. He even copied the way my son says certain words and phrases. The stranger grabbed my son by the shirt and hissed, "Remember what I told you. If you tell anyone about me, I'll take your place at home too. Your parents will never know the difference between us. They already like me better anyway, because I'm not weak like you." I called the police immediately from my hiding spot behind a tree. When the officers arrived, the other kid tried to run, but they caught him easily. Turns out this wasn't just random bullying or coincidence. This kid had been studying my son for months, learning everything about him. He'd been following our family to grocery stores, restaurants, even soccer games. He memorized my son's habits, his friends' names, his favorite foods, even his homework schedule. He knew details about our family that only someone who'd been watching us for a long time could possibly know. The police found a notebook in his backpack filled with observations about my son's daily routine, what time he left for school, which route he took home, what he ate for lunch, who his friends were. Pages and pages of detailed notes like he was planning something much bigger and more sinister. The scariest part was how long it took me to realize my own child had a doppelganger stalking him. This kid had already approached some of my son's teachers, pretending to be him and asking to change his schedule. He'd even shown up at our neighbor's house claiming to be locked out. The officers told me this was the most elaborate case of identity stalking involving minors they'd ever seen in their careers. This child had been systematically replacing my son in different situations while terrorizing him into silence through threats and violence. My son was too scared to tell me because he genuinely believed this stranger could somehow take over his entire life. The other kid had convinced him that they looked so similar that nobody would ever believe my son was the real one if it came down to choosing. After we got home that night, my son finally broke down and told me everything. The other kid had been threatening him for months, saying he was going to steal his family, his friends, his whole identity. He said he'd been practicing being my son and was almost ready to make the switch permanent. It took weeks of therapy before my son felt safe walking to school again. Even now, he still checks over his shoulder constantly,